Imagine this scenario. You're at work, trundling along with your usual tasks, when an email pings in your inbox. It's your boss. There's a big staff meeting coming up. They want you to do a presentation about your team's main project to the whole office. The CEO is going to be visiting too, and they're bringing along a couple of prospective clients. If this imaginary scenario is causing you to sweat bullets, then welcome. This is exactly the video for you. I'm Chris Lau Manson, a writer, artist, and theatre performer, and I'm here to help you overcome that fear. This video is short, but by the end of it, you'll know what you need to work on so that you can deliver great presentations at work, school, or wherever you might need to speak to a lot of people at once. First, let's dive into the common reasons that people dislike giving presentations. The fear that most people have is that of being judged. They worry about slipping up and making mistakes, making a fool of themselves in the process. They worry about exposing gaps in their knowledge in front of their managers, lecturers, or clients. They worry about messing up the presentation and ruining a project, or even their careers. These are all perfectly normal worries to have. Fortunately for us, they're largely the result of our brains exaggerating relatively small anxieties. Even better, we can actually flip these on their heads super easily and turn them into areas of strength. Making mistakes is a very human thing to do, and the whole point of a presentation is to make that human connection with your audience. If you can make a mistake and carry on as if nothing happened, people will see that as confidence in your message, if they notice it at all. When people ask you to deliver presentations, it's not because they want to examine how much you know. It's because they already know how much you know, and they have confidence in your ability to communicate that successfully. They want you to succeed. When you're giving a presentation, it's just one part of a larger piece of work. Let's be real here. If your presentation was the only thing that the success of your project hinged on, your employer would already have whittled down the resources to just you, your laptop, and a projector. Your presentation is just the relay point for weeks' worth of studies, design, writing, and preparation. It's important, of course, but the success of a project relies on all these parts working together. You might have noticed that one word crops up multiple times here: confidence. This is by and far the most important part of a good presentation. Confidence will take you very far. Confidence encourages people to listen to you. It tells your audience that you know what you're talking about, that you believe in what you're telling them, and that your message is one worth listening to. Confidence is evidence of success, and also a predictor. It's the base of great communication. The good news is that we can practice and improve our confidence and become better presenters that way. Like the base of any structure, there are foundations that help support and strengthen our confidence. And in this video, we're going to cover 3 strategies to do exactly that. The first strategy: preparation and practice. There's more to preparation and practice than just writing down what you're going to say and reading it out a few times. Thinking about what you have to say and how you're going to say it goes a long way towards laying the groundwork for a compelling presentation. The anecdote I like to use is a customer conference I was asked to help out with. A senior manager got up and began reading out a long introductory spiel. Stammering, uncertain, overly focused on his notes, he wasn't connecting with anyone, and I could see he was beginning to lose the audience. After about 20 minutes of this, however, he switched over to giving a product demonstration, and it was as if he transformed into a completely different person. He was self-assured, he was engaging, he was clearly in his element. I'd even say he was beginning to enjoy himself. You could see people leaning forward to take in everything he was saying. I found myself wondering where this confident presenter had been hiding this entire time. The key takeaway from this is that the manager clearly preferred giving a product demonstration over simply talking about it. So why couldn't he have made the product demonstration the bulk of his presentation? He could have talked around the same informational points at appropriate times during the demo, and people would have been more engaged as a result. This is probably the most important part of preparation: leaning into your strengths. Curate the topics you'll be talking about to ones that you're comfortable with. Choose a style of presentation that works best for you. Maybe you prefer a conversational Q&A. Maybe you're at your strongest when you're showing how your product works. Or maybe you're best placed to say your piece and keep all the questions until the end. Minimize the stuff you're least comfortable with so that the audience sees you at your most confident for as long as possible. It's also important to rehearse your presentation, out loud and in full. It's not just enough to memorize your words. You have to get comfortable with speaking and moving around on stage as well. By speaking it out loud, you're training your body as well as your mind, and your muscle memory will help carry you through the performance itself. You'll also spend much less time in the day worrying about what you're doing with your hands. The second strategy: flexibility and resilience. I've done a lot of improv over the last few years, and in all honesty, it should be much more terrifying than it actually is. Coming up with an entire comedic play from a handful of words seems like it should be a daunting task, but the reality is that it affords you a huge amount of flexibility. You can tailor your performance to the reactions of the audience. And when you combine that freedom with a well-rehearsed storytelling framework, making up stuff on the fly becomes a total breeze. This is something you can take advantage of in your presentations as well. If you prepare a script for your presentation and insist on sticking to it rigidly, you become vulnerable to losing your place and forgetting your words. It'll also sound like you're reading from a script. Better instead to make bullet points of the topics you want to talk about and have a conversation with your audience about them. This has the effect of making your performance more human and relatable, but it also means that you can go with the flow and adapt as needed. This is also where we talk about mistakes, probably the most prevalent worry among presenters. Here's the reality: mistakes are going to happen. They are. It's just a statistical likelihood. It's the way in which we deal with mistakes that makes us good presenters. Confident people don't dwell on their mistakes. They correct themselves and move on because they aren't worried about it. This is the mindset that you want to get into, of hitting that bump and course correcting effortlessly. Your audience will only care about your mistake as much as you do. So if you don't make a big deal of it, they won't. Every once in a while you might get something well and truly muddled up. Maybe you do want to acknowledge it. That can be a powerful, humanizing thing that reassures both you and the audience that, oops, that wasn't meant to happen. But the important thing is that you pick up from that point and move on. Don't dwell on it, don't make a joke out of every mistake. Just keep swimming, as a wise fish once said. You can actually turn mistakes into a bit of a game. Try and get as far as you can without making one, and when the first mistake does happen, you can relax. You've made the mistake, the presentation is no longer perfect, but it can still be good. And, paradoxically, once you've relaxed into the imperfection, you're probably going to make fewer errors. Look forward to that first mistake. It's your permission to be good, not perfect. The third strategy: projection and performance. This is the most nakedly theatrical part of the foundations of confidence, but you don't need to be a trained performer to perform well. The key to giving a good performance in your presentation is to remember that you're here to deliver a message to a group of people. You're here to convince them to support something, to bring them on board and to get them invested in whatever it is you're telling them. You're here to connect with them at a personal level. Otherwise, you'd have just sent them an email with your bullet points, right? One thing that some people get a little bit wrong, particularly in work settings, is that they try to make their presentations entertaining. How many of us have sat through misguided attempts at humour from people we have trouble believing have ever even cracked a smile, let alone a joke? The truth is that presentations aren't meant to be entertaining. They're meant to be engaging, and that requires both authority and authenticity. Make your presentation match your personality. If you're not the type of person to make jokes in normal meetings, then for the love of God, don't joke during your presentation. It will make people uncomfortable. Even if you are the type of person who's known for their wit, remain focused. You want your delivery to be light-hearted, but once you start actively trying to make people laugh, you're detracting from your core message and distracting your audience from the point. As mentioned, the overall presence you want to have in your performance is one of authentic authority. You're still yourself, you're not putting on a character, and you're confident in the accuracy of everything you're saying. But what happens when you're not so sure about something? Perhaps there's a bit of uncertainty in your forecasts, or maybe somebody has asked you a question that you don't know the answer to. That's absolutely fine. Don't panic, don't waffle, and certainly don't make something up. If you don't know the answer to something, acknowledge that. In fact, you can use it as a great networking and collaboration opportunity. Thank the person for their question and explain that it's something you'll have to research and get back to them on. Then, after the presentation, make sure you get that person's contact details and follow up with them later. Not only have you shown confidence, you've strengthened a potentially useful relationship. So, those are the 3 strategies you can plan and practice on to boost your confidence while delivering presentations. Preparation and practice, in which you lean into your strengths and train your body as well as your mind. Flexibility and resilience, in which you stay adaptable and breeze on by mistakes when they happen. And finally, projection and performance, in which you engage your audience with focused delivery and present your authentic self. Now, here's the bit with the homework. You can only get better if you practice, and you'll only get that practice if you seek out opportunities. Volunteer to do presentations, ask about conferences, and always remember, confidence will get you very far indeed. This has been a small taster of a larger workshop I run called Lessons in Presentation Skills from the Performing Arts. If you'd like to hire me to run this workshop, which has more insights, advice, and exercises, visit my website at www.chrislaumanson.co.uk or send me an email at hello@chrislaumanson.co.uk. I'm Chris Lau Manson, and I hope you'll deliver all your presentations with confidence.